It's Amanchu. Welcome to my Super Flat Survival World Challenge. Now, I do things a little bit differently on my YouTube channel. I like to play both versions of the game and see how the differences in parity affect the way you play the game. I have done a Super Flat Survival World in Bedrock Edition and beaten the End Dragon. Now I'm working on a Java Edition Super Flat World and see how things work differently. I have a bunch of little projects to work on today. You see I put them up on signs here. And most of them, in some way or another, are affected by parity differences. First thing I want to work on is making an automatic pumpkin farm. Thanks to a wandering trader that showed up some time ago, they sold me one sugarcane and one pumpkin. And you can see here that I've built up this field of pumpkins and sugarcane. I was able to build up this pumpkin patch faster than the sugarcane patch. And there's a couple of reasons for that. For one thing, there's more than one way to get pumpkin seeds. One way that you can get pumpkin seeds is by taking a pumpkin, put it in a crafting interface, and you get 4 pumpkin seeds out of that. But another way you can get pumpkins is by using shears on a pumpkin to turn it into a carved pumpkin. And when you do that, it drops 4 pumpkin seeds. The same as if you just destroyed the pumpkin entirely. And then I can take that carved pumpkin and, apparently that's a shape recipe, make a jack-o'-lantern out of it. So I get something out of it besides just the pumpkin seeds. That's how it works in Java Edition. In Bedrock Edition, if you use shears on a pumpkin to make a carved pumpkin, it drops a single pumpkin seed, not 4. That's one of many parity differences where you have to wonder, why is it different? I don't know, just is. Now the sugarcane took a lot longer to build up this field because in Java Edition, I can't use bone meal on sugarcane to get it to grow. Which means I had to plant one sugarcane, wait for it to grow, and then break the upper piece, and then replant that, and then wait for it to grow, and it was a lot more time consuming to do. In Bedrock Edition, you can make sugarcane grow just by using bone meal on it. And I certainly, thanks to my general purpose mob farm, have a lot of bone meal that I could have used, and it won't work. Not in Java Edition. But why build an automatic pumpkin farm at all? Well, I can use the pumpkins to sell to farmers. It's a nice source of emerald income. And the interesting thing is, in Java Edition, not all farmers will buy pumpkins. There's a 1 in 3 chance of a farmer not buying pumpkins. And it just so happens that in my original trade hall, I had 2 farmers, and one of them didn't buy pumpkins. That farmer just so happened to get struck by lightning, so that wasn't a great loss, at least losing that farmer wasn't. Then after rebuilding my trade hall and making it safe for the villagers, I replaced that farmer. The replacement farmer also didn't buy pumpkins, so he spontaneously combusted. And then I replaced him with another farmer who also didn't buy pumpkins, and then he mysteriously, spontaneously combusted. And then I replaced him with another farmer who also didn't buy pumpkins, and then spontaneously combusted. And then replaced them with another farmer who also didn't buy pumpkins, and he spontaneously combusted. And I replaced him with another farmer, and the 6th farmer bought pumpkins. And amazingly, hasn't caught on fire yet. Now, spontaneous combustion is not a problem for farmers in Bedrock Edition because all farmers in Bedrock Edition always buy pumpkins. This automatic pumpkin farm is going to be so productive that it might be worth it to have more farmers. I'm a little nervous about doing that. Adding more farmers. Because what if they don't buy pumpkins either? Anyway, I've laid out the footprint for this pumpkin farm more or less. It's going to be 10 blocks wide and 20 blocks long. I've decided to put it on this plot of land. A lot of it is inside of a slime chunk, so I'll have to be careful of that when I build this thing. And there's also a couple of villager houses in the way, so let's tear those down and get started with building the farm. The farm, interestingly enough, will work in both Bedrock and Java Edition pretty much the same. And when it comes to automatic farms that involve redstone, that's unusual. The first thing I need to do is put down some rails here to collect everything from the farm. I'm going to put cropland above these rails, and the cropland is going to be 8 blocks by 18 blocks. But I'm running the rails 8 blocks wide and 20 blocks long. So they're going to go a little bit over the edge of where the farmland is. Because as the hopper minecart that's going to be running back and forth here rolls around the corner, if I had cropland right on this edge, it might not pick up the stuff from above. So I need the turns to go a little bit outside the farmland. And dig a little trench. Oop, dark in here. Put a lever on each of these blocks. There we go. And now the power rail is powered there. Make a repeater. Now put this on there, and that should run all the way around. Oh wait, there we go. Gotta bounce that back. Now if I have any items, oops, I ran into it. Oh, did that not stop? It didn't stop, did it? This worked in Bedrock Edition just fine. There, that's working now. So I did build this differently in Bedrock Edition. But now this should empty out. And once it's empty, it pushes it away. That's perfect. Yeah, it was slightly different design in Bedrock Edition. I thought that would be the same. It's not. Of course it's not. It's redstone. Of course it's not. Okay, the farmland's going to be there. Above the farmland, we're going to have pumpkin stalks, and above the pumpkin stalks, I need observers. I'm actually going to need 72 observers and 72 pistons. Yes, that many. Right. I'm going to put the farmland out here. I'm gonna go out 4 blocks. And the 5th block, I'm gonna put a leaf block here. Same for this side, go 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks out, leaf block there. And now in order to hydrate the farmland, I'm going to waterlog this leaf block. Now this is an interesting parity difference here. I can waterlog the leaf blocks, and I think that was added to Java Edition fairly recently, but the water stays in the leaf block. If you waterlog a leaf block in Bedrock Edition, it'll flow all over the place. So to do this in Bedrock Edition, I'd have to put blocks around it. I'd probably more likely use a stair and waterlog the staircase and then put blocks around it so that it doesn't leak all over the place. Not really a problem here. One, two, three, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks, and then that. 3, 4. Yep, that's right. Now it's debatable whether it's even necessary to hydrate the cropland, because I have a lot of bone meal and I can grow up the stalks with bone meal to full size. I don't know that whether the cropland is hydrated has any actual effect on how fast pumpkins will grow from a fully grown stalk. I think it only affects how fast the stalks grow to full size. All right, now grow that stalk up to full size, and then I'm going to put an observer. Where the heck did it? Put an observer there. And just do that for all of these spots. Oh wow, pumpkin already grew up. Alright, I'm not going to be able to bone meal them right away. I'm going to have to, because I'm going to get pumpkins growing out of there, so that's not going to work. So, I'm not going to bone meal them right away. I want to put redstone on top of all of the observers. Every observer is pointed at a pumpkin stalk, and if the pumpkin stalk grows a pumpkin from it, it will bend over toward the pumpkin. That changes its state. The observer detects that, and then it sends a redstone pulse, which will activate all the pistons next to it. Now in Java Edition, this would be enough. This would actually work because of quasi-connectivity. As you can see, it's actually firing the pistons. To do this in Bedrock Edition, I would need to add additional blocks here. Alright, we can't have you guys spawning up here. So I'm just gonna slab over everything. Alright, now I was hoping to do this before I had everything covered up and hard to reach, but use bone meal on these, and every time the stalk grows, all the pistons around it. Gotta aim carefully or I'll grow grass. Now it's gonna get kind of dark in there, especially at night. I'd like this to be able to grow day and night. So let's use some jack-o'-lanterns for light. And I'm also getting pumpkins falling outside of the farm, so that should work fine. Now all I have to do is dress this up a little bit and make sure that it's completely spawn proof so I don't get slime spawning in here. Oh. And also close this area off so I don't have cats showing up inside. Stupid cat. Yeah, okay. That's, not horrible. It's just some kind. I kind of improvised all the dressing for that. But I've got over 2 stacks of pumpkins already. That's a nice trade good for trading with my farmers. Pumpkin farm done. Next, arrows. This general purpose mob farm I built has produced a whole lot of arrows for me. A ton of arrows. Oh dear. In fact, my storage has gotten backed up at this point. It would not be nearly as backed up if I had a way to dispose of the arrows. I have an infinity bow, so I don't need a tremendous amount of arrows. I'd like to be able to just automatically get rid of all of the arrows that this farm is producing. Well, as I was getting ready to set up, look who showed up! The 4th wandering trader that's ever appeared on this map. What do you got for sale for me? Well, more pumpkin seeds. That's sad. Melon would have been nice, but it would have kind of pissed me off because I just finished the pumpkin farm. It's too bad that it's not a different kind of sapling that I've already got, but the packed ice is good. I'll take some of that. That's actually going to come in handy later. Alright, thank you for that. Now, back to what I was doing. Put it here. Hopper facing into the comparator. I'm gonna need more platform. I need to go a little lower. Stone torch there. Repeater there. There we go. There's my item filter. I'm gonna run hoppers from those 9 hoppers there that are collecting all the drops. I'm gonna run them all the way across here, and they're gonna pass over the top of this hopper. In this hopper I put 4 sticks that are renamed in an anvil with a subliminal message and an arrow. So how this works is the comparator is going to put out a signal here based on how full this hopper behind it is. This hopper can only accept sticks that are labeled just like this, which isn't going to happen, or arrows. So it's only going to pull arrows out of the hoppers up here as they route items into these chests. Any arrows get pulled out by this hopper. Once there's enough arrows in this slot for the comparator to put out a redstone signal strong enough, it'll reach all the way to this block. That repeater will turn on, and then it'll power this block and turn off that redstone torch, which unlocks this hopper. And that hopper will start drawing items out of the hopper above it, starting with the stuff in the first slot, the arrows. And then they all go into this chest. From there, I want to dispose of them. Dropper there. Yeah, that's going to feed items. Oh, there's already items coming in there because there's now enough items in that hopper that the filter is active. Any more arrows are going to get sifted through into this chest and down into this dropper. And you can see when this flashes, that means it's drawing arrows in through that chest to there. I want the dropper to dump items into that hole, then I can have a lava source there. So if there's any items in this dropper, the comparator is going to put out a signal proportional to how many items are in that dropper. So it's going to be a pretty weak signal right now. There's not many items in that dropper. It's probably, assume, a strength of 1. This repeater, as long as there's any signal coming into it, is going to put out a maximum strength redstone signal of 15. Now another thing that comparators do, besides just measure stuff coming in from behind it, is they compare signals. If there's a signal coming in from behind, and a redstone signal coming in from the side, If the signal coming in from the side is stronger than one coming in from behind, it doesn't output any signal. But if the signal coming in from the side is weaker, then it puts out a redstone signal with a strength equal to what's coming in from behind. So it's putting out a signal strength of 1 right now, more or less, going to this repeater to make it 15. And then I put redstone dust and route the redstone dust back over to the side. And now it's just continually flashing because the repeater signal strength is going to be 15. That's 14. That's 15 there. 14, 13. Signal strength 12 coming in from the side and 1 coming in from behind. So it turns off. The repeater turns off. And you see I have a clock going here. But this clock is only going to work as long as there's items in the dropper. Now if I put... Oh shoot, you know what? I screwed up because... can I fix that? Yes, I can fix that. This redstone torch is powering this block, so I can't route the redstone around that way. I have to run it around the other way. Alright, now I put this to here. And now, as long as there's something in the dropper, right now the dropper's emptying out because it's continually getting pulsed. As long as there's anything in the dropper, this clock is going to work. And it's going to just eject the arrows right into the lava and dispose of them. So now I have my garbage disposal system to get rid of all the arrows. Everything else is going into these chests. Alright, that's going to help a lot. It's going to help with, hopefully keep this farm from backing up as quickly. Now, in theory, I could make item filters for all of the different item types. The rotten flesh, the bones, the string, the gunpowder, and sort everything into separate chests, but I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just doing this to get rid of the arrows. This design does work in Bedrock Edition. I've gone into my Bedrock Edition super flat world and built this very same thing. It does work there, except the thing is, item filters like this are notoriously unreliable in Bedrock Edition. It has something to do with the speed at which items are feeding through the top row of hoppers. If they feed through too quickly, stuff can end up passing by the filter that should get pulled out. And so in Bedrock Edition, if I built it exactly like this, I'd still end up with arrows in these chests. They wouldn't all go into the dropper and get away. I needed to make one slight modification to get this to work completely reliably in Bedrock Edition as well. Let me go over to my Bedrock Super Flat world and show you what I did. And now I'm back to my Bedrock Edition Super Flat world. And I made the same kind of setup here by my general purpose mob farm. You see I have the same kind of item filter here. It works just the same. And again, arrows in that slat and sticks that are renamed so that they're unique. They're going to filter all the arrows into this chest. We have the same kind of clock here that only works when there's items in this dropper. The thing I had to do differently to get the filter to work all the time is this thing here. You can kind of see it here. So this row of hoppers leading across the top, there's a comparator here, and whenever an item goes through that hopper there, the comparator puts out a signal that activates this block, activating that redstone, which powers this block and locks this hopper. So whenever there's an item in this hopper, that hopper locks until that item passes through. If I just took and dumped a bunch of arrows in here, it would feed into here, and you can see it flashing as items pass over it. It's slowing down the rate at which the items pass through. That's why it's not always showing an arrow. It wouldn't flash like that because it'd be moving through so fast. You wouldn't see that brief moment where it's empty. Slowing down the whole collection system a little bit, but by doing that, it works 100% reliably in Bedrock Edition all the time. So I just have a comparator here, solid block, redstone dust, solid block, and the hoppers are feeding from left to right. It's a nice little system, and I'll get rid of all of the arrows so that I don't build up a ridiculous amount of arrows I'll never be able to use. Alright, now back to the Java Edition Super Flat world. I have more things to work on. And look who showed up again! Hey! You have some stuff I want! Cactus. Yeah, I'll buy a couple cactus. The problem is I don't have any sand to plant it on. But maybe I'll find a wandering trader that sells sand at some point. Black dye. I think I should buy that because I don't have any other source of black dye in the flat world. And unfortunately, I'm low on leather. Sorry. Sorry. Oh, he didn't even give me leather. Oh well. Anyway, the platform up here where I collect all the drops from the mob farm, I climb up to it by swimming up this waterfall. It's kind of slow and tedious, and it doesn't look very nice. Now that I have kelp that I got from Wandering Trader, I should be able to easily convert this whole thing into a big bubble column. It'll get me up here a lot more quickly and easily. Oh shoot, that's not going to work, is it? Oh no, it does work. I'm pretty sure, I have to double check this, but I'm pretty sure you cannot put ladders on glass in Bedrock Edition. Alright. Soul sand there. Now the bubble column's only 1 block high right now because I need to grow it up. I need to have water sources the whole way up. Best way to do that is to put kelp in. Now the thing is, to do this in Bedrock Edition, I wouldn't be able to put soul sand down there immediately. I'd have to use some other block because for one reason or another you can't plant kelp directly onto soul sand in Bedrock Edition. Is that still growing? I feel like that must have stopped growing at some point, but it was still eating my bone meal. It does not quite reach the top. Alright. Give me a little bit more bone meal. We can get this kelp to grow up a little higher, now that it's reached its limit, simply by breaking the top piece, and then bone mealing it some more. And that should grow me up all the way to the top. Alright. Now break the kelp, and I should have a bubble column leading all the way to the top. Alright, now all I need to do is dress that up a little bit. Well, it's all done now. I kind of like the looks of this. I decided just having glass columns around the bubble column and the path down just wasn't good enough. I wanted to dress it up a little bit. So now I have this bubble elevator here. Leads up to where the item collection area is. And I move my portal down to here so that most of what I need is here. But if I do ever want to AFK at the mob farm again, then I can take this ladder up to the top platform where the AFK spot is. Moving the portal down, I checked it, it still links up to my portal in the nether. And I can just get up here to the AFK spot when I want to do that. And I get back down the chute. I decided to redo the roof of this pumpkin farm. I wasn't really happy with it. Now it's a little more consistent with the other stuff I've built. And I can check off that off the list. And that just leaves one thing. Excuse me. That just leaves one thing, which I don't have time for today. So I'm going to have to get to that last thing, mining for ancient debris. Later, next time I will go to the nether and I will do all the nether stuff on Amanchu's Super Flat Survival World. Boy, that Iron Golem's really pushy. Big meanie.